Alyssa Romero, your Thursday night class. The destruction of hurricanes have hit the homes of many people. Most people know about Katrina, and at least a few people know at least one person that was affected by Hurricane Katrina. Tonight I'm going to explain some general information about hurricanes, how to be prepared for a hurricane, and what are some things that should be in a hurricane preparedness kit. It's raining, it's pouring, let's talk about storming. So just some general introduction to hurricanes. The Atlantic season is from June 1st to November 30th, with September being the most active month. Areas more than 100 miles inland can be just as affected as the coastlines. Hurricanes like to form over warm ocean water and normally form near the equator. For a storm to be considered a hurricane, they must have winds of at least 74 miles per hour. Depending on a hurricane's wind speed, it can be categorized into 5 different categories: a Cat 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it all depends on their wind speed. The center of a hurricane is called the eye, and it normally has the calmer winds. Like Luke Combs said, it hit me like a hurricane. So how to prepare for a hurricane? Make sure you know your living risk. We live near the coastline, so we know that we are susceptible to hurricanes compared to someone who lives in Missouri might not be as affected if a hurricane comes, but they still might be affected. Know evacuation routes. It's really important to know the fastest way out of your house or neighborhood, and if you have more than one way to get into your neighborhood, use the other way, because a lot of people will use the way that they're used to, and it'll just cause a traffic jam and when you really need to get out. And there are also evacuation signs on the highway that have numbers that you can call if you need help. Make sure you have enough of supplies for at least 3 days. Medication, really anything else, and make sure you have supplies for your pets. More oftentimes than not, surveys show that pets are left behind during hurricanes and any other kind of disasters. Make sure you protect your property. This includes decluttering drains and gutters to help water drain. Some people like to board up their windows. And make sure you follow news channels on radios and TVs, internet permitting for TVs, and make sure your family has a supply kit. We ain't lying, let's get to supplying. So what is a hurricane preparedness kit? It is a kit that should have supplies that are prepared in advance of a disaster, so you can just grab it and go if you need to evacuate quickly. So what are some things that should be in it? At least 1 gallon of water per person and enough for 3 days. Non-perishable, easy to open food. Don't forget utensils and can openers, because if you can't open it, then it doesn't really do you any good. Make sure you have flashlights and extra batteries in case power goes out. Make sure you have a stock first aid kit for treatable injuries, because you don't want to be rushing to the hospital or emergency room when there are people with more life-threatening injuries there. Make sure you have important items such as medication or personal documents, because homes can be affected and you might not be able to return to your house. Extra cash and fuel, because most ATMs and gas stations might be out of order, or they might have a lot of people there and you don't have time to stop. And it's also important to have board games and extra clothes just to pass the time and make sure you have things to do. So in conclusion, let's review on what was said. We talked about the introduction to hurricanes, how to be prepared for a hurricane, and what should be in a hurricane preparedness kit. There's no preventing, so let's prepare.